before I got rudely interrupted before Tammy switched off the electric. Quick recap, Tammy had a go at me about having money for the flat. I turned around and said to her that she's stupid. I turned around and said to her, she said why? I turned around and said to her, well, we could have got it done. I turned around and said to her, all she cares about is money. I said, well, you would have a tiled flat and decorated by now, but you decided to stop because you broke your foot, and then you wanted me to stop, and then I turned around and told her then that most people get high on their own supply, and then they fuck up on the air, because then that way the left hand knows what the right hand's doing. Think about it, police smoke weed, undercover smoke weed, and then they can read you on the air and listen to what you're saying. And then I went outside and then I told the people, the crackheads next door, the fact that you should, why would I want to get into the game to get out? Most people get in to try and make money, and then they realise it's a trap, and then they're all fucked up. And then we got onto the talk of medical cannabis and what you would need to be able to export medical cannabis. You would need a farm, some brains from university students, and Tamsin, all she keeps moaning about is money. Money, 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 money. That's all she ever fucking goes on about. But anyway, what I was saying before we got rudely interrupted, the previous video should have still uploaded, because I've had them upload before when I've abruptly been cut off. Is what I've noticed is people come around here or in the area, go and do a botched robbery, yeah, so then they go and do a botched robbery, and then they try and, what they do then is they go and spend it all on drugs. They just go and buy crack and get high, or more weed and get high off it, and then go buy themselves a new car and then crash it, and then somebody takes it from them, and then they cause themselves more beef and more shit. What is the whole point in it? If it's not going to make any social change, there is no point in any of it with what they do. Right, when they could just do one robbery, make plenty of money from one robbery, and then they're out the game if they invest it and use it properly. You know what I mean? And you can set up your medical cannabis farm. You can afford the lawyers. It's going to have to be a good couple of £100,000 robbery, but you know. But yeah, I was saying outside earlier, I was like, well, most of these people are thick. Like, if I had kids, I wouldn't care if I knew the drug dealer, and then they were selling my kids drugs, and I could get my weight up. I shit you not, I'll come straight through that fucking door with an axe and split his head in half. I shit you not. Because nobody listens to an uneducated opinion. Only fools listen to fools. Which is why education is important. But over here in the UK, what we decide to do in the traps is we just decide to let our kids play outside and let our kids be kids, and not thinking about their futures, not thinking about their education, to be taught a lesson. Lottie. And then why would I carry on trying to set up a legitimate business? Or why would I, when people just want to stop you because they want to try and trap you to sell drugs? I mean, why do people even get high on their own drugs? Drugs is just a product to sell. If you've got a drug dealer that's smoking drugs, he shouldn't be selling drugs, because he's never going to make it out. Or she's never going to make it. There just isn't a point. I mean, everybody's seen New Jack City, right? Where he sees Nino on the roof, taking that crack in the crack pipe, smoking his product after he knows damn well it's fucking business and it's there to make money, and it's his brother, and his older brother just shoots him in the face. Not based on a true story, but I'm pretty sure it does happen. Might have been based on true events, a news story or something like that, elaborated. But yeah. So why would fools listen to fools and then... But our traps are well different. Like America's traps are all about making money, changing society, doing things for the youth so they don't have to go through what we went through. Totally different. Whereas the UK's trap is just pathetic. The cowardice with it. And then the worst thing he ever turned around and said to me, "Oh, Brennan or Benham, I don't trust him." The worst thing that he ever said. The worst thing that he ever done. That's the reason why he kicked me out. Because he didn't trust me. He was just looking at it the wrong way. They was all thinking far too small. I mean, you're just better off getting yourself grounds, some seeds, growing your seeds legally, don't front, have your crop protected, and then there it is. So he kicked me out because he said he didn't trust me. That was just before I went to prison. And then I went to prison and got my business studies on. Because I said to my stepdad, let's turn his little business that he's got into a limited company. And he screamed at me, "No!" At that moment, I knew that I'd have beat him. So thinking too small and looking at things the wrong way. It's not about going against the establishment or going against the institution. It's about getting something that's illegal and making shit legal. So therefore, you're not being arrested. You're not having to run from police every day. And besides, if you legalised cannabis, the gateway will change. Because cannabis is the gateway drug and the escalation drug, isn't it? The first people that will invest, because they want their money back from what you stole from the streets, because you stole the whole entire cannabis game, would be them to buy stock and dividends, and then they don't have to sell weed no more. They just get paid on a yearly, and then they can go get a normal fucking job. So you can work in a normal job while you're taking a 5-year plan to set up a cannabis farm. The only thing is, I don't really get along with people because of what's been said about me. And some people believe it, some people don't. Some people are like, yeah, I know, but he hasn't technically done anything wrong. And then other people, pure animosity and hate. I just can't be dealing with the bullshit. It makes me want to snap. I can't go self-employed either, because the same problem, the same issue is what my toes are. So it's not like I can go back into labour and start labouring. So I have to trade on a world market. I can't trade on a small cash level market, unfortunately. So people try swimming. I've tried swimming, but every time you try and swim, or every time you get your head up in the game and you've managed to secure yourself, you end up managing to secure a grand's worth of stock or a couple of £100. It's like they can't wait to take it off you because they're all desperate and they're all smoking crack. But like I say, it's their own faults. They dug that grave. Do you know what I mean? They dug that grave. I ain't even who for. I am first. They dug their grave. And then they want to drag other people into it with them. And people are like, I'm hearing a voice in my ear now saying, Phil, you're a div. I'm not a div. I'm creating a game. You're going to need somebody that's legal. You get an undergraduate from university that's a legal undergraduate. You don't put them onto drugs. You don't do anything with them. You literally don't even befriend them. You just invite them in. Like there's been bare people that went to university and end up setting multi-million-pound cocaine empires, and most of these people went to Harvard. But they didn't think about getting 10,000 signatures to get something legalised, and then another further 100,000 signatures to look at legislation to change the legislation. Because 100,000 signatures means 100,000 votes. Because you're giving people some of what they want. So it's all about using the power of the institution to work for you. Instead of you being a slave to the institution. Because believe it or not, by you getting things done the way that you want, and you're doing things properly, it's something the institution can actually say, well, we was a part of this, or we was a part of that, and we can be proud of it. So unless it doesn't... What's going on with the back end of this car? Because these corners, I was driving the exact same way earlier, and these corners were going on perfectly fine. Devil's mad again because I'm doing something right. But yeah. And just because you're in the trap, don't mean that you have to sell drugs. Doesn't mean that you have to sell anything. Doesn't mean you have to do anything. If they trapped you, they owe you. Because believe it or not, you have become a victim of crime. Whether it be legal crime or full-on illegal crime. Like legal kidnap, such as adoption. But it needs to be something that people can stand by. People will turn around and say, yeah, I'll stand for that. If you can't deliver, then don't try. I mean, most of these people get into the game because they're like, oh yeah, man, I can make £100 and in a week off selling 5 ounces a week and whatever. Right? or 5 ounces a day make £100 a day, because you still got to go out and re-up and reload. But you can buy a car, spend a couple of £100, clean MOT, clean engine running, knock off a certain amount for the interior if the interior is knackered, and you can sell it for thousands, and you make £1,000 a day without all the bullshit. Know what I mean? Now you could buy 50 LED for the price of, what's the price of a brick? I mean, you know, what's the price of a brick? Like a kilo. So for the price of a kilo, you could buy, I don't know, 100 laptops maybe. But the thing is, because these people trapped you, and you'll be making money off of the trap, they want their money back. So there's no point in either buying or selling in the trap, or selling to them, or buying from them. Well, you can buy from them, but there's no point in selling back to them because they'll want their money back. Because they're all in the same boat as you trying to get out, and a trap is designed not to let you out. So therefore, you have to sell to people that are not in the trap. And therefore, you have to build confidence in people that are legal and law-abiding in whatever they do. And unfortunately, the way that the trap operates, people know and can tell by the way a person speaks, talks, dress, anything like that. Oh yeah, and another quick recap. Instead of having a £20 trick code, yeah, your lingo, not mine. I mean no disrespect. Right? Instead of having a 20 trick woman, right, and she's on the prostitute thing, why isn't she being educated? Why don't the pimps educate her? Invest money into her. Get her off the drugs, invest money into her, get her down the gym, get that nice arse, that nice flat stomach, an education, a certified certification in something, and then you can take her places. Because people would much rather have an intelligent person to speak to that is actually worth some money to spend the night or the evening with over a dinner or cinema date or something like that. Trust me, I know, I've been there. I've dated educated women. And you know what? It is such a much nicer person to talk to. Such a different atmosphere. Like, they'll challenge you intellectually. And then stop getting them pregnant as well. If they want to be prostitutes, make them, rather than turning $20 tricks or £20 tricks or whatever it is, they don't even have to have sex to sleep with it. Some people just want a guy, not a John, a guy, just when he wants to go out on a date with a bird. Sometimes they don't even want sex. Sometimes he just wants somebody to spend company and time with. The woman just wants money. Although some of them, 90% of them want sex. No offence, but it's just the animals that men can be when they've got the blue balls. But that doesn't matter, because you get paid more. The problem is after these people that are pimping are drug addicts, like, how can I put it? It's like, they sit there and go, it's me and you against the world, babe. I can accept you for what you do to sleep with men for money to help make me money. While then he's getting cracked out and smacked and cracked up. I'm kind of happy he kicked me out. I'm kind of happy he said he couldn't trust me. Because if I did, if he didn't, then I won't be able to tell you these things. I think that's the reason why he let me out. So that I can change the game. So why do we make it a mess for somebody else? I mean, like, you end up getting in beef with rival crews from drug dealing, and you end up digging your own graves. Because you think that there's no way out. You think that because you're trapped on a council estate that you can't get nowhere with your life. Freaking heck. There are plenty of people that come from council estates and from the council trap or whatever that have made it in life to millionaires. You just don't know them. Because you know what? It was that bullied kid in the corner that you used to pick on. While you was all outside playing football, talking shit, being hard men and hard kids, he was in his bedroom getting his head down, doing his own work, thinking, I can't wait to beat these cunts. But he stayed quiet, kept his head down, stayed away from you. And then became a CEO of a company or built something. Listened to his mum, respected his elders, respected his parents. Acknowledged the trap every now and again. But other than that, probably not. Because it's just not the world he wants to live in. It's not his fault, he lives in that. He lives in this world, he lives in the trap. Because his mum went into the trap. And then he learns from his mum that he has to learn the ways of the trap. But once they learn the ways in the trap, they lose sight of everything that they ever wanted to be. Right, sorry, I've got to stop talking because I'm not coming forth again. Or maybe I am at this rate. So you want to let all these drug dealers and all these rappers that sacrifice their lives to influence others down the right path go to waste. And these people were like phenomenal artists, phenomenal motivational speakers, had a belief, had heart, had fire. And then you just want to let their sacrifice go to waste. Not on my watch, mate. Not on my watch. Yeah, you?
You see my aerial problem?
Nope. You got no telly aerial?
Connect to your aerial.
Shit happens there. So anyway, yeah, so then these parents teach them the way of the grass. No, teach them the way of the grass. I ain't grassing them shit, I'm just letting you know what I know. But anyway, I was about to say, yeah, so these parents teach their kids the way of trap, and then when they ain't bothered about the knife crime that they do or the drug dealing that they do until they become a victim of it themselves and their children go through it, and then all of a sudden it's anti-knife crime this, anti-knife crime that from the parents. Certain people's laws from the parents. Finally realise they have to do things the right way, and then they fuck it all up. They don't care until it happens to them. I've met a couple of people though in my life that have all been about chances. And there was two ways you can go about it, the easy way or the hard way. Learn from your mistakes and move on, or continue making the mistakes until you're dead. Well, another thought has just come into my head as well, and it relates to Notorious B.I.G., which he says in one of his lines, if you ain't getting bags, stay the fuck from police. So is that thousands? Or would that be as in bags, as in suffocating somebody to death like Four Brothers? Where Angel takes that bloke and puts his head in a bag and says the average person can breathe for 4 minutes. And that's if they're calm, but it only works if the bag is clear. And the person ain't exactly remaining calm now. But when he's talking to the police, I was stopped a bag. 9 times out of 10, you never know. It could be that same person that you're talking to about bags that wants to put your head in a bag. I'd rather live my life properly than put myself into that situation. Clocking up some mileage on here. I mean, did anybody ever think of that? As opposed to raising both middle fingers and saying fuck you all. I'm just going to do my thing. Lottie, Silas, behave. Then, what can I say? But most of these people are depressed and they don't think life is worth living. 9 times out of 10 it comes down to money. All the time. And they don't appreciate the things that they've got. Like Morrissey says, you have never been in love until you've seen the dawn rise behind the home for the blind. In other words, appreciate your sight, because there are some people that can't see. And people will always say to you, like, I listen to Macklemore and he's like, if I'd have did it for the money, I'd be a fucking lawyer. But what can a lawyer do? A lawyer can advocate for civil rights, human rights, is an educated person. Well, she's an educated person. They have the power of words and law on their side to influence and change the minds of people. So a lawyer can effectively change your life. So why wouldn't nobody want to be a lawyer? Do you know why? Because the stigma that goes attached to it, that they're just blood-sucking leeches that make money off the system and make money off crime. Yeah, it's true. It's a true statement. But at the same time, behave yourself. Come on. And that's a true statement. But at the same time, if you were personally a lawyer yourself, would you be saying the same things? So if you learnt law in school, college, university, and then you learnt politics, but you have never represented the crown, you would be a people's lawyer. You would be a people's politician. In order to get things moving through Parliament. The weakness is if you've served the crown and then you get corrupt coppers that need to fulfill a quota. And not even corrupt coppers, basically coppers that have been sitting on what you do for a long time. So basically if you've been drug dealing for a long time, doing a lot of shit that you shouldn't be for a long time, and they've been sitting on you, in order to trap you, and you haven't called them out at every single turn, then they've trapped you. Right? You are then, and you've ended up in court and you've gone to prison for something you've never done. And the prison taught legal services and law. Then you could become the people's lawyer. But the only problem is you have to do less than 4 years on any type of sentence not to be deemed as a criminal. So now, my problem is the fact that most of my things that went through and my police charges were mostly unfair. The reason I went to prison, and the only reason they got a charge on me in the first place, is because I had no legal representation. I sat there and said, oh, I can just do it myself. I explained the fact that I had an emotional outburst, chucked a knife down. It was like, we've got a charge on you, don't give a fuck. When the police would then try and say, it's your turn to tell your side of the story. Don't even tell them nothing. The army, if you get captured by the enemy in the army, police aren't the enemy. They're the keepers of the peace. But if you get caught within the army and you are captured, you are taught the only thing that you can give out to the enemy is name, rank, and number. During interrogation. In other words, your name, address, and date of birth. And then they try and scare you with this, you may later rely on it in court. The thing is, I'm being interrogated, and what I could talk about to you on a police record could put my life in danger. Which is your reason why you haven't said anything in the police interview, and you're not going to say anything in court, except for what they have in evidence. And hard evidence, factual evidence. Not a scribbling down on a piece of paper that says where somebody's having a mental breakdown and it helps them. It's an insight to their mind at the time by psychologists. It's what psychologists will say. And then you have to look at the other factors in why the person was thinking that way. Such as me, if I wrote down like, oh, I want to kill somebody, or I feel like I want to kill somebody. So for example, you turn around and say, I feel like I want to kill the neighbours for the way that they are. You are expressing feeling in your dialect. Doesn't necessarily mean you've done the crime, but they'll try and twist that into saying you've done the crime. I know I had an emotional outburst, and that's all that I had. And then I did what I needed to do, because I was homeless, by sleeping in a shed in an area that was safe, because we ended up splitting up. Which then breached my bail conditions. However, these things weren't taken into account, because I didn't even know about hostel system. I didn't learn about a hostel system until I came out of prison and I was doing a probation order, and the probation order turned around and said, yeah, by the way, go down to this place, you're in a hostel. I was like, what? It's that easy? Just sit there all day and then wait until they put you in a hostel? Yeah, provided, but the thing is about hostels, you see, they'll only put you in them, back then, I'm not too sure about now, if you had a drug problem, which made you then vulnerable. So none of these things got taken into account upon the breach. So as far as I'm concerned, anything that I've done, that people say, anything that, I haven't done anything to be fair, but anything that I've done and people are like, oh well, we want you to go to prison, not being funny, but I've already been. Lottie's washing it. Lottie, stop it. She's chewing and then washing her bed, like chewing her bed and then she's washing her paws. I don't know what's up with her. So yeah. And this is the problem. Why should you need legal representation with the police over an honest mistake or an emotional outburst? Do you know why? Because perception is real to the person of where it was. But the problem is after the whole incident and you go to prison and this person is still saying they're scared of you, they don't want no one to come near you, we want an injunction out, we want a freaking court order, and then they come round to your house and you're like, I thought you didn't want to know me. Oh well, you got some money from a back payment from when you was at work. You're working, you got your wages put into your bank account and you got some money, then you got a tax rebate because you was overtaxed. And then your son sits in between you and his mum and then puts one hand on top of the other and goes, there you go, Dada. And then she's sending you pictures of her wearing a little black dress and she's going out. That's why. And then she goes to court and then plays the whole domestic violence game and then gets the freaking stupid thing extended. But nobody questioned her on any of it, did they? Anyway. And then we went to McDonald's and I had Harvey on my shoulders running down the street having fun, and he was giggling and laughing, and then he was tired and he had to go home and he wanted to stay at mine for the night. Yeah. He wanted to stay at mine for the night. As I put him in the taxi, he was crying as he drove off. Not the first time she'd done that. And then a mum, the reason why we won't be together is because a mum said, I will cut you out of this family if you stay with him. Even though I used to work 12 hours a fucking day, 6 hours a week, the only thing I did was smoke a 10 of cannabis every fortnight or a month, something like that. The only thing I weren't doing right was smoking cannabis. But if her mum was if her mum realised she had a boyfriend that had money, like this bloke named Jordan or whatever, she'd be all up their arse. And then when I was doing marketing, when me and Danielle split up, I remember the number plate of Danielle's mum's car. And that's when I seen her new boyfriend, who she's with now, driving the car down to the MOT centre. But what they didn't know is that me and Danielle were still sleeping together. Me and Danielle were still sleeping in the same bed. And we're still sort of seeing each other and going out places. Because I was living at my grandma's. I was working 6 days out of the week trying to get me a career into business development management. So I was learning salesman techniques. And I had to go do a couple of trials first to see how much work would need to be put into me to be able to go out and sell Christmas tables at Christmas. Sounds really easy, right? Like Bob is it. I didn't get one sale over the phone, which was really difficult. Never done sales before in my life. Serving people, smiling at customers, putting food on the table, asking if everything's alright, providing good customer service, piece of cake. So they needed to know what they was working with and how much they had to work with. And that's what I was working towards. I even said to the manager when I first got the job, I said to him, can you take bonds and stocks out of wages here? And he turned around and said, you don't want to do any of this, mate. You don't want to do any of that. And I thought nothing of it. And then when I was living at Battenberg Road, I got a letter through the post from the pub company saying you can register here to buy shares. You see, me and her could have lived the American dream. We could have had the dream. But it was some woman. Oh, I could sell tables in store. Don't get me wrong, I could sell tables in person at Christmas time. I could sell a wacky warehouse party or whatever it was, or a fun place party, whatever you want to call it. But over the phone was really difficult. And by now, I reckon I could be not just one of the even the gaffer used to say to me, "I can see you being a general manager of a pub." He said, "You don't want to be a general manager of a pub in your own city, though." And I agree with that. But I wanted it all. I wanted the fucking CEO chair, mate. And I knew I had to work hard on them fucking tables and bust my balls, and no matter how much Danielle used to come into work with Harvey and show her mum how hard I was working, how well I was doing. She just wouldn't have none of it. And then I proposed in Christmas 2008, and I didn't have the balls to say, "Will you marry me?" I just got on my knee in front of a mum and a dad, because I knew the fact that, you know, like childhood sweethearts kind of thing. Well, teenage sweethearts at least. And I couldn't say, will you marry me?" because it felt like something was there stopping me saying, "Will you marry me?" And I turned around and said, "Will you?" And everybody just laughed. But the plan was me to go to work, get a place within the company to work from home with a laptop. Danielle could have gone back to university to go pursue her nursing career. And then once she pursued a nursing career, we'd have tried for another baby then. The only problem is now she has no time to go to university. To be honest with you, I hope they get married. Do you know what I mean? I hope her and a new fella and that get married and live happily ever after and whatever. But I know one thing. And her mum knows it as well. Because the first time we split up, okay, fair enough, she's not young and, I wouldn't say young and dumb because she's very intelligent, but I wouldn't say she's young and first love kind of thing. Can you hear my tyres? The only problem is I had this thing about me with Harvey that she didn't like. So I wanted Harvey to go to boxing and learn how to fight, to stand up for himself. She didn't want that. Now all of a sudden she does. And I used to have some pent-up aggression. And I should have just bought myself one, really. You know, with my misogynism and stuff like that was the problem. But the issue would be, I asked one day, she said, what do you want for your birthday? I said, a punch bag. And she got me this little punch bag, as if to take the piss, to say that's about your size. I'll have you know, Miss Blonde Hair, Blue and Green Eyes, I used to punch a proper boxing bag full of sand as a child when I used to get pissed off. Something to take my aggression off. And then I sat there with Harvey and I used to encourage him to punch the punch bag and stuff like that. And then Karen, Danielle's mum, I remember being upstairs once and I heard her slapping. And I was like, who the fuck do you think you are putting hands on my son? I got along with her nan, got along with her sister. And then when I got with Tammy, I was like, well, Danielle wasted all these things that her nan taught her. So I gave them all to Tammy. Such as a sewing machine. Didn't buy an overlocker though, I just bought her a sewing machine so she could practice. She didn't want none of it. So she could make dresses and clothes. Stuff like that. And Danielle has all these things that she can do, but she chose that gear there. That's what she chose to do. But I came from there. And now I'm there, plus the gear I'm about to go into. Although to be fair, I got him with a sister as well. I don't think her sister or her sister's boyfriend has much grudge against me, to be fair. But I remember one day he had a big massive cold sore in his mouth. And I was like, what's that cold sore in your mouth? He's like, oh, well, we was fucking and my missus wanted me to go back down on her. I was like, oh. But hey, what can I say? First time I've ever heard of that, I was like, eh, I'd never do that. I don't care how much she asked me to. Not a chance. But like sucking my own dick. Latte Silas. So, if what I think they've been doing to me is karma, what's their karma? Because now she knows what I gave up. Now she knows what was written for me. Now she knows where I was heading and what I gave up for her and my son. Anyway, I'm getting a cup of coffee now. Actually, I need something a bit stronger than a cup of coffee. So no, it had been 2009. 2009 when I proposed to her, Christmas 2009. Because Harvey was born in 2009. So Harvey would have been 2 months old. But I would never say sorry for having an emotional outburst, because any man would do the same. Can overload of the mouth and shout and hit inanimate objects. But he knows what he will and won't do. Silence that low. Come on now, don't pay. What? Yes, I know, we love that. Yes. Alright then. Alright. Yes, you're a good girl. Yes. Love you too. Come on. No, wait, you're in the toilet. Hang on, back in there. Come on then. Lottie! Lottie! Oh, Ozzy. Come on. Come on. Good girl. Well done. Well done. Yes. Here you go. Yes. Good girl. Good girl. Anyway, I say thank you for helping me get closer to my biological father and helping me realise the life I could have had if I grew up with my biological dad. And for building that bridge, because they were so proud when I found a girl like you and I was doing all the right things. I was actually allowed in his house, go to his parties, go to family gatherings. Now when it came down to that £250 I borrowed off you, or I didn't even borrow it, I asked for £250, and you said to me, I said, oh, I've met an old mate from the military, he's just left the military, and I know him since I was a kid. You turned around and said to me, how much do you need? I was like, probably about 250 quid, because it was 280 quid for an ounce of California orange bud. And I said to him in a text message, I said, yo, bruv, I said, I've got some money for a plane ticket to Oz if you want to go. And he never replied. So then I was stuck with having to swim. So then I bought a computer instead and sold that. And then the money went towards him for his drug habits. Which is why I can't really blame you for not wanting anything to do with the army after that stunt. Because I knew that mobile phones get listened to. So it's weird, I just knew how to talk. But yeah, I have to thank her, because I ain't gonna lie, when I was perceived as a down and out deadbeat that weren't never gonna go nowhere or do nothing with my life or with myself, eventually it would have happened for me anyway, and I know it now. Eventually I'd have woken up, but she stuck by me. What can I say? Can't say a lot. Through the good times and the bad. Good times of when I was an assistant manager of a pub, learning the pub game and getting ready to take over his pub before he went into prison for tax evasion. Oh, shut up, blue car. And then I messed it up by not serving somebody who was underage, but I was protecting my bar licence. And when I was working Christmas Day, and you was at your mum's having Christmas dinner, and I was working, and there I am eating a microwave meal. You was there for JJ, Regan, and myself when my parents were splitting up. You even cried on the day that I turned around and said, I have to go and sell my PlayStation. because I needed money for food because I was using drugs. And I was still finding my way, but there's a lot of shit going on at home. You know, so I say thank you for that stuff. You know, times when we were broke and we had nothing. I always used to make light of it all. Like, it's a Doldosser's delight. Even though I wasn't a Doldosser, I was just finding my own feet. And my parents were going through a major breakup. And I had to have my little brothers, my sister, and my mum living with us, if you remember. And even when your dad first came around and we first met your dad, and then your dad seen how much in a state I was, that was due to depression. Not only that, what about that time when I took an overdose on tramadol and I attempted to kill myself? And then you came down and you still went to college, stayed up with me all night, went to college, came back from college, fed me some dry toast. You knew exactly what to do. But I never mistreated you. The only thing I ever did was cheat on you. And that's because I wasn't getting any at home. You alright, Tam?
No. When are you going to start getting off your ass and cleaning?
Pardon? Oh, here she goes.
Well, I ain't going to do it every fucking time.
You don't do no cleaning.
Yes I fucking do.
No, you don't.
I do the pots near enough every freaking day.
No, you don't.
You ain't even done shit other than sitting there fucking ranting and raving on the fucking camera.
Tammy, you sit there sewing all fucking day, trying to make people do your will. That's what you do. And anyway, yeah. So yeah, I can't really say, what can I say? You just keep a light on. Oh, it's a Doldosser's delight, and I was just going through a lot of shit. When I talk about you two, you know, and when I talk about Harvey and you, she gets pissed off. She's like, they're jealous of you. They're jealous of you because they can't fill your shoes. I know some girls that can, don't get me wrong. There are some girls that can. And it's like, I've been trying to do the same thing for them as what you've done for me. They're just so unappreciative. God. Just have no appreciation for anything. I remember how when you used to go to work and I used to have to look after Harvey, and I used to get up first thing in the morning, sweep, mop, hoover, dust, wash the pots, get the washing on, do Harvey's ironing. Fair enough, it was part-time and only twice a week on my days off, or sometimes when Harvey was in play school. But I'll wait till she stops making a racket. She thinks I'm going to forget what I'm talking about. And Harvey was in play school, now to go to work on a 12 till 12 on a 12 till 12 shift. Tammy, she turns around and says to me, you ain't shit, you've never done shit, you'll never be shit. All this kind of stuff, and it kind of sits there and makes me think about kind of like, actually, you'd be surprised. Because I did exactly the same thing for my daughter and James, and each and every child that came along, I raised the bar every single time from what I did before. Every single time. Started educating myself, started learning how to fight, started buying and selling. And then I woke up. And they're talking about, oh, well, you lied to me. You said this, that, and the other about the army and this, that. I didn't really lie, because in my own mind, I did pass out on my phase 1 training. I at least did a poachers encounter, sat with the infantry, ate dinner with the infantry, Silver Fox they called him. I was on my own, I didn't sit with the other lads. There was just one soldier on his own, genuine soldier, and I went and sat with him and ate dinner. And we just talked. And then I learnt about weapon systems. Because phase 1 training is only learning how to be a soldier. And some fitness. We'll blow the muscle for now. And then phase 2 is when you go and do your career. And I said I broke my leg, which then stopped me from chasing a military career. So it wasn't really a lie. He never told me his real name, obviously, but what can you say? And me being in the cadets was like my home away from home, my school away from school, my manhood school, discipline school, respect school. And then they took it all away from me, and now I don't have no respect, unfortunately. And then most of my friends that I grew up with, I ain't going to mention their names, all went into the military and are still serving as honoured and distinguished and members of a distinguished service. I'm talking about I never did shit. I'm the one that used to go and look after my mother. Me and Danielle used to look after the kids. My little brother wanted to come live with me and Danielle. I still remember the first day, it felt like I made it. And I went to go see my mum on my own. Was after we split up. And I remember paying out my wages that I had from work, left over. I remember paying for all our gas and electric bills. Because she had no gas or electric. I remember being there for her to console her, to let her know it was okay to sleep within her duvet. I was there and my mum wanted a garden. So I started mowing the lawn and sorting stuff out. It was only because of her mental health I had to leave, and her domestic abuse people that she used to be with turned around and said that I can't live with her. It's not going to do no well for her mental health. Therefore I couldn't go and stay at my mum's. And I remember the first time my grandma and my mum rebuilt their first bridge after my great-grandma died of cancer. I was all around her when she died of cancer. And my mum and my grandma never seen each other after that. I remember buying my mum a TV from Asda because she needed a new one. Straight up to my mum's with a £300 TV with my wages that I bought from working my arse off, and took my grandma with me. And they sat down and I had a cup of tea. See, she thinks she went through hell. She has no idea of what hell is. I don't have no idea what hell is. It's all about the perception of the person of what they're experiencing. See, I'm not educated, but I do listen to educated people. But since all this bullshit of I'm a domestic abuser, I'm this, that and the other by the local authorities and the police and other people in the immediate vicinity, I can never go back to the way that I was. I have to overcome and adapt and find a new way to stay the person that I have to be and start thinking outside the box. But like I say, I've proved most of it in video games. Call of Duty, Metal Gear Solid. Because the original story was, I went and joined the army and I passed out. I passed my selection. I'd done my phase 1 training and then broke my leg on leave. Because after your first phase 1 training, it's your last chance to get out. When you go on 2 weeks leave before you rejoin the phase 2, to go into your chosen military career. After that, you're locked in forever. And the only reason I failed my first initial selection was not knowing enough about the regiment on the interview. Assertiveness in the report by the lieutenant. Assertiveness and leadership skills sometimes were demonstrated, however the confidence wasn't there. Fitness skills met requirements, however may hold the rest of the group back. Medical examination, cough and drop test, eye and hearing test, fine. Body weight mass, 10% body weight. Weight gain needed. And I remember coming home, seeing all them lads with them certificates after they passed. And they've got that thing where they have 2 weeks to tell their bosses that they're no longer going to join the army anymore, that they're going to join the army. And they're all celebrating on one coach. And all the people that had to come back and do it all over again were on another. We're on another game, was on another coach. I remember being in a suit that was 2 sizes too big for me, that I brought from a charity shop. No wonder he fucking turned me away. I didn't even look the part. Maybe if I'd have had a suit on that fitted, I might have been accepted. Maybe if I even got dressed that day. And I sat there and my stepdad picked me up and we sat in the back of that truck. I put my Bergen, my rucksack in the back of that truck, sat on the bus of the train, and I thought, what do I do now? What the fuck do I do now? And then I went back to work, started working on Mum's calf, and then I found myself a job at a powder coating factory and started powder coating for a living. It was alright, nice easy job. Labour intensive, lifting stuff. And then I was on my way home to get a shower and get changed because I was covered in powder coat paint. I couldn't wait to get home and I was going to meet my girlfriend at the time. Or the girl that I was seeing. And then that's when I had my moped accident. And then that was it for me. That was it for me. I was like, now what do I do? Now I'm fucked. I never had the strength or resilience to, or even the inclination to start walking on my broken leg. To push myself harder than what I did before and let it motivate me. I didn't do any of that. Which is what I should have done. I should have let it motivate me. I should have let it say, me having this pole in my leg ain't going to stop me. And then a friend came over with a bunch of instrumentals made by Midlands Mafia, Snowman Productions, grime beats. Not my kind of instrumentals, but anyway. Well, they are, but it's just dirty. And they taught me a 4 on the floor rhyme, which was 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, 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 bush, jaw, jaw, all that bullshit. And then that was it. I never put the pen and the pad down. But hey, what can I say? Let's go get my reward. And I remember my first freestyle as well. And it wasn't major, but it was sort of like a battle. And I was dissing one of the people from... There was 3 of us, and we all had a karaoke machine. And we was just MCing and stuff, and we was trying to write a song. And then we sort of like seen the war in Iraq and thought, actually, and it probably was done off the back of Mosh from Encore. And yeah, and that's when he called me a cup of tea. He called me a tea biscuit at that point. And then I took offence to it. And I started ripping into him. But those 2 were making mixtapes every day. I was just writing. Didn't matter what it was. Didn't matter if it didn't rhyme properly. I was just writing it all down. It felt so therapeutic. And I used to, if I was ever angry or anything like that towards anybody, I used to write it down, kid. And then I used to write songs for birds and stuff like that. They was all smoking weed and I walked in there sober as a judge. And I started rapping and I learned how to rap. Well, MCing, I won't call it rapping. On Wellinger Way, in his dad's front room when his dad was at work. So I used to, yeah. And then at that point, that's when I started riding a push bike with a broken leg, took my moped back off my stepdad after he said I couldn't have it. I just became proper rebellious. The moment I started and I felt that microphone and yeah. And then I remember being high one time and I was being kicked out of my shared house. I turned around and I was just like, and I could MC and they gave me advice. They turned around and said, what you want to do, you want to do a Mike Skinner and just talk about what you want to rap about. And I laughed. I turned around and said, look, if I was a rapper, I didn't say I wanted to be a rapper. I never said that I'm making any arrangements. I turned around and said, if I was a rapper, I'd be like Slim Shady or Eminem. And then all he did was fold his arms and turn his hat up. Like his hat was all the way down and then he changed the peak of his hat upwards. And then I never seen him ever again. Never seen any of them ever again. And that's when I was like, just turned 18, 17, 18, just turned 18. Because I was 17 when I got kicked out. And then that's when all the drugs started and all the headaches started and the madness started. I was sitting around crackheads that were coming into my living room taking Subutex like it was a normal thing that they should be doing. And then I had to tell them to leave. And that took a lot of balls because these people are always scrapping, always going to rob things and rob people and stuff. Do you know what I mean? but like I say, right places at the right times. Now I wake up at 36 years old. I'm like, God damn, I should have went for it. At 27, when I turned 27, I should have went for it. I didn't have anything to lose, really. Except maybe my life. But all I was thinking about at that present moment in time was getting full access to Harvey and be able to have him within my place at my own home. Even though it's a shared house, but... And I knew that there were drug users and stuff there, but then Tony says to me, when he went into court, he told the judge that my kids will stay with me. They come into my room only. However, I started decorating the whole fucking house. And then started to build the living room back up, unlocked all the windows. Tidied up the living room. Planning on putting a telly down there, a sofa down there, and then just speaking to the people within the house saying, look, on weekends when I have my son, can you just take your shit elsewhere? Because it would have happened that quick. I was already getting time outside the access centre with him. I was already getting time on my own with him. And then the old bill happened. I put my priorities first. But at that point in my life, I would have killed him. Especially when my son sat there and said, well, me and mum have to play upstairs while he sits downstairs and watches football. And I got a picture of him lording it over my son, telling him to get out of the fucking room so he can sit there and watch football in peace and have a beer. No wonder. Can you blame me for the way that I was thinking? And then I tapped on the Shady X5 just come out, and I was listening to Yelawolf Pop the Trunk. And I thought, let me just try something, and I banged on the table 7 times. And then he ducked and hid under the table and said, there you go, Daddy. And I was like, how the fuck does my son know about that? But yeah. Anyway. I'm gonna go for a bath. Chill out. But it doesn't mean I don't have the seeds of war sown into me. Little sapling seeds, don't get me wrong, tiny little seeds. But it all depends how much water you feed them. The last time I got watered, I was having thoughts and the will to kill. The last time I got watered. And that wasn't that long ago. So no wonder I'm on antipsychotics. And then people keep piling on pressure and pressure and pressure. And stressing and stressing and stressing. And talking shit and talking shit and talking shit. And it's almost like I want to bring that young lad out. That young boy that was always oppressed, felt oppressed by his non-biological father and held down, who then held a rifle, fired his first shot into a target, ran at an enemy firing blank rounds. Well, what's perceived as an enemy. And not even worry about the consequences. But the thing is, we have to be mindful of the consequences, because stuff like that can destroy and cause a lot of issues and problems. I remember the first time I was watered, and this guy came to my bedsit. And he weren't no small guy either. I'm like 17, 18 years old. And I am vexed. I'm an angry young youth. And her dad didn't like me that much. And he said, "Get him down here now, I'm going to fucking batter him." I took a knife behind the back of my trousers. And I went downstairs. And I was ready to just stab him. And then when some guy, my best friend, well, I won't say my best friend, but a friend from growing up, he was light fingered. He was a 5-finger discounter, and he slept with my girlfriend. I ragged him off the top bunk, threw him against the wall, went to put an air rifle to his eye, and went to pull the trigger and kill him. I didn't do it because I calmed down in time. And then the third time I was watered, I was at this girl's house, and the same bloke came to the house where I was with a girl. And I remember having some paintball gloves from skirmish paintball, and had this hard plastic on the outside. And I turned round and I said to her, "Pass my gloves." And then he just took a step back and bowed out and went backwards. And then the fourth time I was watered was when the argument started with Danielle. Shit like this that she does doesn't exactly help.
Things that you don't do exactly fucking help.
Well, no, you like control of everything, Tammy.
You don't even get off your ass and fucking clean. When was the last time you fucking cleaned up? Weeks ago.
Pardon?
You fucking nerd. You lazy bastard.
Yeah, whatever. Spill my drink for me, that's great. She does spilling drinks. She don't mention the fact that, you know, I end up training the dogs, taking the dogs out, trying to do this fucking trying to do this YouTube thing to get stuff done. She doesn't talk about the fact that when I'm stripping motorbikes and to make motorbike parts to sell them. She doesn't talk about any of that stuff when I'm trying to strip motorbike parts to make ends meet. Because I want to earn some respect. She doesn't talk about the fact that I'm talking to the neighbours about not where they're going wrong, but trying to let them know what's what. When I first met her, apparently she couldn't get herself dressed, and I used to have to get her dressed. But now she can run round, get pissed off, slam things about, like there's nothing wrong with her.
shit out your arse.
I know. I love talking shit out my arse. So I live on my own.
You don't live on your fucking own though!
Yeah, but I might as well. With the way that you are. You don't make me feel like I should be cleaning. You don't even make me feel like I'm a part of this property. I ain't even been put on the tenancy.
Hang on a minute! You were the one that made me fucking feel like I was a prisoner in my own fucking home!
That's it. Make things worse so I can't get access to my son if we stay in a relationship. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Well, you did, didn't you? By getting... You wanted the alarm system. You decided to change the locks how many fucking times?
Why?
You then decided that you're going to keep all the fucking locks.
Yeah, but why? Why?
Because you're not fucking deluded.
I'm not deluded. See what I mean? But anyway, ignore her.
And then fucking lock me out of my own home. Won't even let me have a fucking key or a fob.
I don't let you have a key or a fob. Why don't I let you have a key or a fob, Tam?
Because you're fucked up in the head.
No, because I asked you, and then you threw the key and the fob back at me and said, you take it off me then, I can't have one, and spat your dummy out.
Why was that?
Because
you kept on disarming my fob.
No, because I said I didn't trust you.
There you go.
There you go.
Why? That's why I fucking gave it you back, because you kept this fucking disarming it.
So what are you complaining about then? If I told you I didn't trust you, then you turn around and say, keep all the fucking keys, keep the fobs to the alarm system, blah, 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 blah.
Well, you fucking wanted it for yourself.
Right? And then you chuck at the fucking alarm system back at me, and then I'll turn around and say, because you make me paranoid.
You make yourself fucking paranoid because you sit there fucking believing shit that's not even fucking true that your fucking head tells you.
What, like dog food ain't gone missing out the fridge?
For all we know, you could have accidentally fed them both twice.
No.
The same shit before you left.
No, because it's written down on the
You
whiteboard.
do it all the fucking time, Philip.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Oh, right, really?
See, so this is another... Look, get out of it. You're not even a part of this. Go back in your bedroom and go do what you normally do, which is sit on your arse, smoke fags, talk to the
And what do you fucking do? Sit there ranting and raving at the fucking computer.
I'm sorry.
You don't even... When was the last time you fucking cleaned up, eh?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Weeks ago.
I'm sorry, but when we had Charlotte, who was working all the time and you was exactly how you are right now? Who's the one that exposed my daughter to cannabis and put her in the cannabis room?
Oh, here we go. When you were the one that was fucking smoking it in the flat and all.
In the kitchen out the window.
It was still in the fucking flat, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I didn't smoke it right next to her.
And then for your information...
What?
My dad never fucking smoked it in front of her.
What, so you don't move my stuff? No, you're lying.
So you can't fucking go there.
You wrote it down.
My dad didn't even fucking smoke it in the same room. He went outside.
You signed an affidavit that was produced in court. The fact that your dad was smoking cannabis around Charlotte.
Actually, he was outside.
No,
not
he
in the same fucking room.
That's why he shouts at the kids like my stepdad used to shout at me.
He was smoking normal fags in the living room.
No. If your little brothers make one little peep about Grant without watching the Formula One, yeah? Well, Formula One.
That's his fucking
your dad is the
parenting style.
Your little brother pisses in a pot in the bedroom, Tammy.
Not my problem, is it?
No, it's not. But there's
well, why are you fucking telling me this shit for? It's not my business.
Well, there's something wrong at home, yet he's still standing here defending him like if the sun shines out his arse.
Just because he's old school?
Yeah, he's wrong school, not old school.
Wrong school?
Yeah, he's wrong in school, not old school.
Since when has he been a fucking wrong in it?
When he started...
He's never fucking raped a child.
Yeah, but your brother has.
What's that got to do with my dad?
Because your dad still accepts him into his life.
My dad hardly speaks to him.
Your dad sits there and exposes him to him. You've sat here before on the sofa when he last came down from Manchester, sat on the sofa. I went out for a bit. You turned around and said, my brother was wanting to shag me again, and he was asking me to shag him. Don't even start.
Don't even start. Heard your fucking mouth, because all you're fucking doing right now
is what?
It's causing shit with the fucking neighbours, which is going to cause shit for me.
I'm not causing no shit.
Yes, you fucking are.
Why?
Going around to Lucy and Luke telling Luke to put fucking Lucy on a leash.
Yeah, damn right.
Luke thinks so.
Why?
Do you want me to have fucking trouble at my fucking door?
That's old school.
Old school because of your fucking mouth.
Tell me, what does Luke do? What does Luke do?
He works.
What else does he do? How does he make ends meet? Come on, while we're being honest, tell me how he makes ends meet. What does he do?
Don't fucking matter.
What did some kid come round and say to me? I've just bought this, and I turned around
So
and said,
fucking what? That's
what is
none of
it?
our business.
No, but what is it? What does he do?
What's that got to do with us
What
then?
does he do?
What's that got to do with us?
Fuck all, but what does
Exactly.
it do? Exactly.
But you keep
what
bringing
does
them
do?
into it.
But
You
what
keep
does
bringing
it
them
do?
into our fucking
But what does
issues.
it do? Yeah, so you won't say it, will you? He sells drugs to kids. If someone sold drugs to my kids, I'd split his head open with an axe. Because my kids should be in school learning.
Do you know what? Saying that, I hope someone does that to you one day.
I don't sell drugs to kids.
I hope someone does that to you.
Fucking women. She'll never say it, will she?
Fucking deluded ass lady twat.
Yes, of course. The only problem is the people I'm talking to know me better than what you do.
Really?
Yes, really. See how she likes to argue? She wants to make it all about her. She wants to make it all about her. But anyway.
You ain't fucking awesome. Everything's your fucking way.
Yeah, because I know the way out.
Like, I never have a fucking input in anything I fucking do in my life to you.
No, you can have an input just without me. If you want to shag somebody else, invite them round, have a relationship with them, shag them in the bedroom, I'll sit here laughing at you.
Is that what you really fucking want?
Not really.
Well, shut the fuck up then! Watch how you fucking talking!
Or else what?
You're the one fucking breaking up the relationship, not me!
Tell me, yes, the way that you're reacting when I'm talking about something from my past.
Oh, right, really? When you're fucking going on fucking paranoia shit?
I'm not talking about paranoia shit.
This and the fucking other.
But anyway.
That's the one that's fucking breaking it up.
But anyway.
Fucking sort your head out.
But anyway.
This cunt.
As I say, I have to say thank you because. Anyway, as I was saying.
One day someone fucking gives you a pasting.
I've had my pastings, thank you very much. I've had them all my life.
Fucking need more of them.
No. Why? Is that old school? Think you know we live in a new school now?
You ain't got no fucking respect for nobody.
Yep. I show respect to few. I show people who show respect to me of my views and my opinions.
You should show respect to your loved ones and you fucking don't.
Yeah. You don't even know what love is. You're so afraid of hardship. It's unreal.
You don't even know what fucking love is.
Shut up.
You just want it all your fucking way.
Anyway, as I was saying, I have to say thank you because I wouldn't say you made me a better person.
Fucking stink.
Whatever.
You're a mess.
Yes.
You're a fucking tramp.
Of course I do. See, this sounds like Danielle's bullshit coming out of her right now. It's not what Danielle feels though.
Can't even fucking clean a pot.
Damn straight I can't clean the pots.
Can't even fucking clean the pies.
I weren't brought up to wash dishes.
Oh no, you're just been brought up to do what
But
you
anyway, I'm
want.
going to just tune her out. Let's just tune her out because this is what people that want attention do. Like children. So when a child acts up, we'll just ignore her. But yeah, I have to say thank you because you didn't make me a better person. You kind of like opened my eyes to stuff. And showed me that there was another way other than the way that I knew. And to be honest with you, you can't say I never treated you with respect except when I disrespected you by cheating and lying to you about cheating. That was the offer of disrespect. And saying what you look like when an abortion survives. But hey, what can you really blame me? You did have a horse's face in that photo. I mean, come on. Jesus. You had a horse's ass face. What can I say? I had to say something. Fucking hell. You just ripped me into the floor and took me to court and then took my son away from me. Over some bullshit because you wanted to leave me for somebody else when you could have just sat down and said, look, Phil, these are the issues. And maybe we could have got somewhere with them. She can go back into the corner and sulk. But yeah, That's what she says about me. She don't like it, the fact that I'm being nice to somebody who says something so derogatory about me and makes out that I'm the worst person in the world. Because it's all coming out and a boyfriend knows about it. Or a fiance now knows about it. What can I say? But yeah, and all they're trying to do at the minute is prove you right, is prove her right. So what they're trying to do around here in our whack-ass trap, or whatever it is that we're fucking living in, this karma, this bullshit karma, right? This bullshit karma that really deserves no karma at all. Because I could turn around and I'll say that I was just literally finding my feet and sowing my oats. I was still living my 20s, yet I was in a relationship. She could have done the same. And I would have never have known. Maybe she did. I remember sitting there one time. And she went uptown with a mate. So she used to go uptown. This is how much of a non-controlling person I am. And she can't deny it. She used to go out on Friday and Saturday nights. Uptown with her mates. Abbe, some other girls. I only remember Abbe because she was quite cute. But yeah, so she used to go uptown with the girls, and I used to look after Harvey. And I remember her own coming home one day with the McDonald's, and she thought I was asleep. And I looked over to her, and she looked at me. And then she moved elsewhere. So maybe she was. I just never knew. What can I say? What she don't seem to understand is that this is my YouTube account. If she wants to voice her opinion, she can set up her own YouTube account. Thriller in Manila. But yeah. Where was I? Oh yeah. Reminiscing. All over some bullshit. But yeah. And this bullshit karma. But what goes around comes around, right? Now, whose karma turn is it now? Now, another thing I remember as well, while things are on my mind, is she sat there and she tried to feed my head full of this bullshit. Such as what was it? Oh, I can see me and you marrying other people than me and you getting back together one day. True story. But yeah, I just think it's a little bit daft. But I would have killed him before I let him take my son away from me. That ain't no word of a lie. And if I couldn't kill him, I'd have had someone else do it. If I could. But I don't know anybody that I could. But hey, like I said, I hope they get married. I hope they live happily ever after. I'd rather let her live with the decision of what she's made and live in the cocaine hell that she's in than help her after what she did at court. That goes for any woman. No offence to women, but any woman that does me dirty like that, no, not a chance. I'd rather just let them dig their own grave and bury themselves in it. Because she didn't have to do that. I would have made it one way or the other anyway. But no matter how much she tried to prove to her mum, and she got so worn down about fighting. Oh no, she's doing Karen. That's what she's doing. She's doing Karen. She isn't doing Danielle, she's doing Karen. Danielle's mum. And then I remember as well, like, when the educated girls I was seeing pulled up outside to come pick me up, and I made the decision to stay at Danielle's that night. And she turned around and said to me, said, "You can do better than her." I was like, "You sure?" She's like, "Yeah, you can do loads better than her." I'm like, "I don't think that I can, if I'm honest." She's like, "Yeah, you can." I'm like, "Are you sure?" She's achieved everything that you could never achieve. Well, yeah, that's pretty much it, the story between me and Danielle. Quite a nice story. And then obviously some of her family come from the Saffron Lane estate, such as Leanne Gray and stuff like that, so it's no different. It's like it's not like I don't know what's what and what's going on. As a matter of fact, she bought me the first Professor Green album. Never even heard of Professor Green. Professor Green weren't even on my radar until his Inconvenience album came out. And Danielle bought it me for one day for my birthday. I'll tell you what I do miss doing though. I do miss when I used to go to work and I used to do the late shift, and it was payday on the late shift. Because you got paid on the 28th of every month. And then what I ended up doing, I used to go out and I used to get £800 a month. I know at least the rent was the house rent was £510 a month because it was private rented. So half of the rent money went straight on the side. She used to take care of the bills. I used to go straight down to Asda. I should have gone to fucking Aldi now though. Going straight down to Asda, and I'd spend £200-300 at Asda. Microwave, Harvey's Blu-ray DVDs, toys, food, Harry Potter box set collection. Things where, you know, when you have no money, when you're behind closed doors and you shut the door and you're like living that humble life for a bit while you're trying to move forward. But she wanted it all too quick. She wanted it all there and then, that moment in time. Holidays, cars, nice shit. She wasn't willing to work or prepared to do anything. I've had a problem with saving all my life and budgeting all my life. Given the way that I grew up, I can't really blame myself for that. But it's kind of ridiculous. But all I wanted to do was give my children not the life I never had, but gave them what I never had. Now my stepdad provided an awful lot, except for one key ingredient. You know, once he did, like, you know, once he got bit by the loan shark and I was doing his, forging his wage slips and stuff to the bank and this, that and the other, so he could get his mortgage. You know, we didn't want for anything, we didn't need anything, didn't no more knocking on the neighbours to borrow a cup of sugar or some washing up liquid or anything like that. None of that anymore. There was none of that, you know. House, car, PlayStation, motorbike. And he always said to me, someone said to me, who gives a fuck if you're in debt? I sat there, like, this is just before he died, I was like, you know what I mean? But he remortgaged his house twice. To me, in my eyes, his cars, his gold, his jewellery, his reputation was more important than his family. The only problem is, I now realise it wasn't more important than his family. But all those things were more important than what I was. And I remember him saying when we lived at Biddle Road, and he shouted at me and said, I'm an elephant. I don't forget nothing. And then he shouted at me, I do not want you in this life. Well, you should never have let me come home then. Should have sent me straight back to my biological dads. But no, it was another win for him. Although to be fair, I think he got 20 grand for a car crash that he orchestrated. He seen a car driving down really fast and he told his mate to crash the car. He told his mate to pull out when somebody was racing their car, and then they sideswiped the car and he lost his teeth after he hit his face off the dash and injured his leg and got whiplash, and he got 20 grand payout for it. But the thing is, he couldn't convert that money into anything else because he needed to prove he was working in order to get a mortgage, which at that point we ended up having some wage slips dropped off to us. We all know who. And then I had to forge the documents, put his name on them, put his national insurance number on them, use the scanner, use Adobe Photoshop, change it all, and then he got a mortgage. It was a council house right to buy, which I reckon is one of them things that the government found out about, and that's what fucked up the right to buy. And then paid him out. So they paid him out. Obviously, then he remortgaged his house. The house only cost him, he had 30 grand discount because it was council, so he had 30% discount of what the house was worth. The house was worth 90 to 100 grand, or was it 86,000 pounds, because it had no central heating, no fucking plaster or render on the kitchen wall. It was worth around 80 grand, so 30% of 80 grand is, what is it, £300 in every 1,000, whatever. So that's £3,000 in every 10, so 3, 6, 9, 12. 3, 6, 9, 12. See, I'm shit at maths. 15, 18, 21, £24,000 discount. So the mortgage was only 64 grand. And then he went and remortgaged the house for 80 grand. Then he remortgaged the house for about 100 grand. And then he spent the money on the house doing it up. And then he bought a shitload of cars and gold. And he wasn't even a qualified mechanic. But he did a good job, and he worked hard. Like some days I remember him coming home covered in oil at 10, 11 o'clock at night. Do you know what I mean? To change that person's head gasket to get their car back on the road. And he just seriously messed it up. Don't ask me why he had to buy. I don't know why he was paying £2,000 for this car, £500 for that car. Why couldn't he just have one car? Why did he have to be chauvinistic? £6,500 watch. I mean, okay, granted, get a mortgage to sort the house out. You know what I mean? He only needed about 10 grand. And his mortgage would only been £76,000. But then he went for a high interest only mortgage because he knew that if he lost his job or he could no longer find work, that the government would pay the interest only on the mortgage. The only problem is, if he did that, the bank would then realise that they're never going to pay the house off and then foreclose on the property, which eventually did end up happening. When really what he should have done is sold the house and have a new house ready to move into a different area. Should have increased the value of the house, sold the house, and started buying and selling houses. But he was so stuck in fixing cars, it was ridiculous. And then he had garage rent, and then he changed his premises. The problem is he was always smoking weed. He was always smoking weed. Although, to be fair, I remember the first time I sat down and had a spliff with him. That was quite cool. The first time that I reckon he knew for a long time I started smoking weed when I lived on my own, because I had a surprise visit from my mum, my sister, my brothers when I was living on Burnwell Street, and I had a surprise visit from them. And I was smoking weed and I was nervous as fuck. I was like, oh my days, my parents can't find out, they'll kill me. And I was pissing myself with my mum in the kitchen laughing. My mum said, "You've had a funny fag, ain't you?" I was like, "No, I ain't had those funny fags." And then one day I went up to I went to go look after the boys, and my stepdad just grabbed a bag of weed out and said, "Skin up then, Philip. Fuck's sake, I know you smoke weed." I was like, "What?" And that's when he became one of my mates. You know what I mean? He was no longer my stepdad or the person that I had to fear. At that point, he became a friend. So it's the first thing that I've done that he would disapprove of, that he accepted. It's weird. because he couldn't tell me not to smoke because he smoked himself. And then I used to go down to the garage with him, smoke a spliff, fix a car, strip a head gasket down, pull out a radiator. It was a far cry from scrubbing the floor of oil. It was almost like I was no longer Rodney. But I also remember when I was a kid, and I was about 16, and all my mates were smoking weed, and I never smoked weed before, and I said to him, he was at the top of the stairs, I went, Dad! He went, what? I went, can I have a spliff with you? I went, fuck off, go smoke it with your mates. But yeah, what can I say? And then he used to put me in contact with people. For example, like when I lived at Gooding Avenue and there was a DJ equipment and I grafted, right? So I had 2 jobs. I used to collect glasses at a working men's club. So I'm 16, because I have to be 16 to work there. And I'm doing bathroom fitting apprentice, and then I go to work at a sheet metal fabrication. So I'm doing sheet metal fabrication at this point. So I'm coming out with £86 a week from glass collecting, and another £250 to £300 a week in sheet metal fabrication. So one of my first wages, there was somebody that was selling DJ equipment with DJ Master Mix CDs. So I didn't even have to be able to know how to DJ. I could just play the tracks that was already on the DJ Master Mix and do discos. Right? I used to play on that thing all the time. Constantly. Just in my bedroom, set it up, blast my music out 24/7. Some people came around one day and they shouted over the fence and they was like, can you turn that down? I'm blasting Eminem through it. So you're talking like 900 watt Synergy speakers, 600 watt Numark PA speakers, and then a Numark twin disc CD changer where you can change the pitch and speed and stuff like that with a crossfader and a small EQ and a Synergy amplifier, 1000 watt amp. It's like, can you turn that down? I'm enjoying it the first day I've got it, right? And I've walked up to one, and then I've put Elvis #1 greatest hits in there, and I've pressed play and I said, is that fucking old fogey enough for you? So disrespectful, but what do you expect? I was young. I was being told what I should and what I shouldn't be able to listen to. But it was the noise levels they didn't appreciate. I'm like 16, 15, 16, come on. And then I started hustling. People were like, right, go down to this person's house, go pick yourself up 3 boxes of this and that, and then go shot it all. So like, you know, so I used to invest all my money into buying and selling slippers, t-shirts, toys, CDs, DVDs, whatever it may be. And I used to pay £200 for a box of slippers, for example. I used to sell them, make £400, put £200 in a tub, and then go out and do it all over again. I remember back in Biddle Road as well. My stepdad got conned on a set of dummy mobile phones. He got these loaded these dummy Sony Ericsson, the Sony Ericsson with a flap that covered the keys that flipped down. And they were just dummy mobile phones. And he says to me, go flog them at £3 a pop. I used to go knocking on doors around my estate or around the estate and then sell dummy mobile phones at £3. I made about £100 one Christmas. I'm like fucking 7 years old. And then one time I went round to my mate's house, my mate's dad's house, and Jonathan Strawbridge was his name, and I didn't know that he got stabbed and died until somebody else told me. And his dad bought one of these dummy mobile phones from me. And he said, yeah mate, so I went round the next year, right, so every year, we still had some at a year, right, so we went round, and I went round and I was selling them again. All the money went to him, by the way. I never got to see a penny of it, to be fair, because it put food on the table, do you know what I mean? So I used to go out and do his work for him, buy and sell as if like I was little Oliver Cromwell, playing seat please sir, can I have some more, like a poor child knocking on the door, like a chimney sweep, right? And this is the 90s, and I used to give him all the money that I earned. And then I went round again a year later, I found some more. I found some in the shed when he had his turfing business. And I found some in the shed. And I was like, I want to go sell some and make some money. And I went round to my mate's house, Jonathan Strawbridge's house. And his dad invited me in. His dad used to have this massive shed in his back garden. He used to build motorbikes and all sorts of shit in his spare time, and when he wasn't at work. And he came round and he said, yeah mate, I went round the second time, and he went, yeah mate, come on in. And I totally forgot that I blagged him, right? And he came in and he said, and he got the last year's phone out, and he said, what, you mean like you had me last time? Because I was telling people that if you put a battery in them, I'm 7 years old, I'm telling people if you take them, open up the back, put a battery in, they all light up and flash and stuff like that. They didn't, they were just dummy mobile phones. They didn't do nothing. And then I got my first PlayStation. Well, my stepdad got his own PlayStation. He went and told, went down to a second-hand shop on Hinkley Road at the bottom, near where Just E-Bikes is now, just up the road from there. And he made a deal with these dummy mobile phones, what was left of them, and a bit of cash so we could have our first PlayStation. I'll never forget the first PlayStation. You had to wobble the wire to get the picture to show up on TV. Right? And it didn't matter. It didn't matter. I had a PlayStation. I remember playing. What was the game called? I'll remember the game later. But I remember playing this game, and it was a racing game, and I used to spend all my time on it. And then one day, he got so fed up of us asking to wobble the wire to get the screen on. He decided what he was going to do. He sat there up all night one night, and I think he must have had a night on whiz, or he had a spliff that night. And he got his soldering iron out. Actually, I'll tell you the truth, he didn't have a soldering iron. What he used to do is he used to use the gas ring hob, strip the plastic back of a flathead screwdriver, sanded and grinded the flathead screwdriver down to a rounded point, and then heated the point up on a hob, and then soldered the connection, so it was constantly soldered to the board. Fucking crazy, man. Fucking crazy. I remember him saying one day, like, he had an argument with my mum and he turned around and said, fuck this fucking shit, and he grabbed a shovel and just put a shovel through the TV right in front of me. I'm sitting there like, you know what I mean, like, But yeah. But I never wanted to become the person. I used to look up to him. And then I seen the other side of life. And then I went to go see and live with my real dad. And it was so different. So different. It was like, I didn't want for nothing, but I had no freedom. Food, it was there. Healthy meals, they were there. A lift to school and a lift home, it was there. PlayStation, it was there. Didn't have to wobble any wires. Blockbuster and DVD nights, they were there. Family board game nights was there. Washing and cooking your own dinner was there, like, even if it was beans on toast. And I'm 10 years old. And then when I went home, my perception totally flipped. It was never the same. I grew up, started to have hate for my stepdad, and I no longer looked up to him. Holidays, they were there. You know what I mean? There was no arguments, there was no fighting, it was peaceful. It was normal. It's no wonder I went back home. No wonder I went back to my mum though, because I ain't going to tell you the story about my mum and about what I believe what happened. But it was just different. It was no wonder I went back home. It was so culturally different. You know, all bills paid up, cable TV, education, encouragement. But I don't think if it wasn't for me, for at a time when I used to look up to my stepdad, and he said he could fix anything. And then one day I bought my black and white TV from downstairs, asked him to fix it because the speaker wasn't working and he couldn't fix it. Kind of had to eat his words that day. I don't think I would have the belief in myself that I have today. Do you know what I mean? Like, the way of don't give a fuck. I've seen worse times than this. I've been through worse times. There's been times than when I was 17, 18 years old, and I've met this girl online and she adored Tupac and music, and we used to sit there talking about Tupac's music and the whole Biggie and Tupac beef, and she completely loved hip hop. All over her walls were pictures of Eminem back when he was wearing his Elf t-shirt, and I was like, I love this girl. You know what I mean? And she was damaged. She was like me, she was damaged, but she was damaged a lot more than what I was. And I remember sleeping homeless, travelling up and down, having no food, going dumpster diving. Nobody let me in. So I did that for about 2 or 3 years, and then I remember when she bought me, I needed some trainers. I remember when she bought me some Nike TNs, black Nike TNs. And then she sold her iPod for 20 quid to get me inside of a B&B for the night. She even came out with me on the street and slept with me on the street. And that's kind of a shame on me, to be fair, because I had no clue. And then I found myself a job. I had an interview at McDonald's, and the person in the B&B, I said, look, I've got a job interview at McDonald's, I should be starting work soon. And I got a job at McDonald's, and they gave me the job. They just said, you need your birth certificate. So I called up my stepdad and said, Dad, can you send me my birth certificate? I've got a job. He said, where are you? I said, I'm in Folkestone. And he just put the phone down. Yeah, he just put the phone down and I couldn't get the job. And then after that, I just found the council in Folkestone ended up giving me this place. And one of the owners of the building had family in Leicester. He said, look, if you ever need a lift back to Leicester and you want to go see your family, I travel to Leicester quite often, just let me know and we'll go. I was like, sound. And it had no heating. The building weren't even finished. So I had a fan heater, a bed, and some blankets. I wasn't even claiming dole. Actually, I did start claiming dole, to be fair. And then they helped me get a place. And then I found out that the girl that I was seeing started seeing somebody else. And then my mate came up and I sold my Stone Island coat, everything that I had, and just got in the coach and came home. And then I started squatting, and then I had to rig the electric, and then some Scottish geezer came in and kicked the door in, and then robbed the place. And no wonder Danielle was such a blessing. When I found my feet and then I got onto my feet and I was living at Burnmore Street, I found some stability. And then my parents split up. My mum and my stepdad split up. And then it was back into survival mode and trouble mode all over again. And then I met Danielle. And then I moved out from Burnmore Street, went to go live above a pub. I was on probation for some stupid bullshit. And then I met this guy at probation. He said, come down to my pub one time. I said, alright then. So I went down to his pub one time and I volunteered for him a couple of times. And then he had a room up for rent available. And then he helped me get my bar licence. And then my mum came to see me with my little brothers. She had a glass of Coke, as she does. And then I had a watch that my biological dad gave me for my birthday. And I left it downstairs behind the bar. And then it went missing. And then Danielle, and then I was living above the pub. And I was working there. And some of the shit, man, I can't even tell you half of the shit, but I can't tell you. Well, it was fucking awesome. Didn't even live it to its fullest where I should have. And then moved on to a house with Harvey, or with my son and Danielle. And then because he had a bar licence, her sister put a word in for me at a pub and said, well, because you're on the dole, we can't employ you unless you sign off the dole. I said, I'll just volunteer then. He's like, why do you want to volunteer? I said, I'll gain experience. He said, alright then. So I used to work, but I used to go to work, and then what I used to do is I just used to have a couple of pints on a football day or something like that, you know what I mean? And then that's when I learnt about, like, I was in talks with the owner of the pub, and he was like, okay, if you want to go self-employed, you have to go self-employed, but you're responsible for your own tax. And I was like, I'll think about it, and then I didn't turn up to a shift one day. And then his wife sat me. So then his wife sat me, and then the very next day, the very same day, I got a phone call to work in a pub. And then that's when me and Danielle got back together, because me and Danielle were separated at the time. And then we got back together. And I had this job. And my mate was chilling with me. And all my friends wanted me that were still stuck where they were, wanted me to help them. So I said, come down to work, put your CV and see if it works. Because before, you know, like when my stepdad was alive and stuff like that, I used to say, come down to the garage and earn some money with me then. You know, my stepdad would look after you, 20, 30 quid if you need it, you know what I mean? And he did. It was never a lot, but you'd have to put a lot of hours in for 30 quid. I did 3 days for 30 quid. Fuck that, ever again. And my gaffer wouldn't employ him. And then we all kind of like drifted apart and we all fell out. Because I had moved on into something else, you know what I mean? And I was going places. Even the girl down in Folkestone was like, Phil, I thought you had your life made. You got the house, you got the girl, you got the dog, you paint the perfect picture. Remember the first time I whited on a bong as well. Oh my fucking days. First time I took drawers in Hull. And with the girl from London, or she was from London anyway, but with our sister, and we were smoking weed, and we were smoking. Never used to like rinse all their bong, just had a couple of hits on it and that. Do you know what I mean? I remember having a couple of beers as well, and I never really drank. I could never hold my drink ever. I always throw up when I drink, if I drink too much. I remember puking up a door, and then we sat in the kitchen like, let's go rob a car and just drive back to Leicester. That's what she was like. She was proper like that. But I always just turned it down. But maybe I should have. And then again, maybe I shouldn't. I'm not going to say my life was all hell, but I'm not going to say my life is easy. And I remember once standing in the front room window, in the living room window one day, and my mum had had an argument with my stepdad, and my stepdad said to me, my mum said to me, one day you're going to take your stepdad out into that back garden and you're going to kick his fucking head in. So every time my life seems to be moving in the right direction, somebody always wants to tear it down. Every single fucking time. I'm not pessimistic, I'm optimistic, so I've been through harder times, you know what I mean? But I've always had somebody there. I remember once when I was down in London, I snuck into that girl's house I was telling you about, or Folkestone or Greatstone, wherever she was. And I remember sneaking into her house. And I remember she left the downstairs window open. I remember creeping upstairs and climbing into bed with her. She's like, you better get up at 5:30 in the morning before her stepdad wakes up and finds me in there, because he will go mad. We both slept in, didn't we? We both slept in, and her dad dragged me out of the house by a collar, by my neck. But she was a live wire, she was. She'd smash her own fella's car up. The amount of time she'd been with a boyfriend at the time, or an ex-boyfriend, and she'd smash the car up to fuck. But there was always one thing that I always had on there throughout all these travels. Was a 50 Cent The Massacre Get Rich or Die Trying CD. Those two CDs. And obviously Eminem CDs. And a portable Walkman I bought from the market off the same guy that now sells fruit and veg. And all it does is skip and jump. So every time I try and play a CD, it don't even play the whole fucking thing. I spent 20 quid before I left. But now it's like, I don't want to be around people anymore. I know people will say, well, it's nothing you haven't done before, but it's different now, you know what I mean? A lot of stuff has been said, a lot of stuff has been done. And then the Re-Up CD came out. And I couldn't quite hear it. I couldn't quite know what to do, or had nobody around me that understood the language. Or maybe they did, they just didn't want to let me in. But yeah, even if everything is sort of like normal and everything is okay, people tell me it's okay all the time, don't trust it. Oh dear. Anyway, let's go for a race. Pretty much my life in a nutshell. Pretty crap. Interesting people. Just always on the outer circle, never on the inner circle. I'm going for a piss. You alright, Matty? You're alright, aren't you? But yeah, another thing as well when I was growing up is in the world that I grew up in when I was a baby, or in the 90s, there'd always be someone at your door looking for a fight. Always. Tamer, can I have a cigarette, please? No, I just asked you for a cigarette. You've got some tobacco. We both paid for it. You've got the tobacco. Can I have what? Can I have the backy, please? Can I have the backy, please? Can I have the backy, please, or not? Just say yes or no.
I'm
There's
trying
no
to fucking cut down myself and you're not helping, but I keep asking for a fag every 5 fucking minutes.
Look, you just say yes or no. Don't go the wrong way about it. Just say yes or no. Say no, you say no. You say yes, you say yes. I don't know. What are you? Well, can I have a roll up, please, or not? Can you pass me the backy so I can make a roll up, please? Thank you.
Swallow the whole fucking
See,
thing.
this is what your problem is.
Yeah, well I'm trying to fucking cut down. Because you've been moaning at me.
Well, I actually quit and I went on to start smoking, stop smoking, and then you carry on smoking. Then
Well, you don't fucking know what have I fucking told y'all.
I bought you Nicorette lozenges, I bought you nicotine replacement.
The way you fucking stress me out, no wonder I fucking
Tell me, we did a cost benefit analysis of smoking yesterday. On Saturday, didn't we? About the benefits of stopping smoking and the benefits of not
Whatever.
smoking and the not benefits of not smoking. And you know for yourself that you're better off not smoking.
You're going on with yourself.
And you said to yourself that the stress only lasts for a short amount of time until you find something to replace it with in a short amount of time. You said it yourself.
Yeah, well you don't fucking help.
You'll just quit then.
Taking your shit out of me all the fucking time.
I ain't take my shit out on you.
Yeah, you fucking do. Every fucking day.
I ask you to stop moving my shit, but yet you carry on. I ask you to stop doing certain things around me so I don't get so paranoid, but you carry on.
But I don't.
Yeah, I know, but you carry on. But you do.
You misperceive.
So like you don't smash my mobile phones up. Why is my 8310, Nokia 8310 phone in bits?
That was you ages ago.
Yeah.
That's not the reason.
Take a look at yourself before you judge at me, alright?
You're always taking your shit out of me. You always accuse me of things that I ain't even done.
Tell me, you can't.
I fucking made me sit here
I'm not
all
having
day,
that. I'm not
nearly
having that.
every fucking day.
No, I'm not having that. I'm not having that.
What? You do?
No, I know that you leak.
See? I ain't even done shit.
I'm trying to keep a nuclear family. You're trying to make it an open party fucking invitation. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I want to I want to try and keep a nuclear family.
You don't even know how to keep one.
Yeah, but you want to make everything. You want to share all my business with everybody else and get your nose involved in everybody else's business, so you feel like knowledge is money and money is power. But you've got the wrong type of knowledge, for knowledge is money. Yes, I do know what I'm saying. Gossip is not money. I'm sorry, but it's not. Fucking hell. She goes a long way about stuff, man. I ask her to stop doing stuff, yet she carries on doing it. Trying to keep a nuclear family, do you know what I mean? Like, what we do is our business and nobody else's. But she's alright sharing shit. When I come up with ideas for Harvey, for Christmas and stuff like that, all of a sudden, fucking her little brothers and everything start copying. Fucking madness. People just want to poke their nose in, and it's getting really fucking annoying. Wom. Ooh, tucking around the outside, lining up to make his move, makes a break late. Robinson gets the inside line, is cut off. Takes goes off. That's enough commentary. Hey, did everybody know that there was a whatchamacallit? There was a commentator competition for racing like last year. I think I'm a bit tone deaf to do that though. Gotta pick yourself up, ain't you, when you're a bit down. Not even like you're down, really. That shot was quite therapeutic, wasn't it? Don't get it twisted, I'm still the same arsehole. I just love these voices. Don't believe you. They've done this, they've done that, blah 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 blah. Wait. Whatever. I'll clean that one. Right. I think I'm done with Gran Turismo now.